can you talk about the premise of, because I thought it was really fascinating, the premise of That Girl Lele.
Oh, yes. So the premise of That Girl Lele is Gabby, my daughter on the show, Sadie. She is a, really smart, funny, sweet girl, but she is not having the best time in high school. She's a freshman in high school, and she's suffering from insecurities and doubts, and she has this positive affirmation app on her phone that reinforces her whenever she's feeling down. And one night she wishes on a star that the app would come to life so she could actually have a best friend. And as the magic of TV, kids TV happens, a star flies by right at that moment, and Lele comes out of the app and becomes her real life best friend. Mm-hmm. And those two girls were, first of all, the first time on Nickelodeon where there were two Black girls who were the leads of a show together.
Yep.
And also they were both sort of based on David's daughters, which I thought was really, really great. And then you had, mom and dad, and then you had the little brother and all the hijinks that come from that. But the core of the show was this regular human girl who was so desperate for a friend that she made a wish strong enough to create one. And the bond that they made over time was really, really sweet.
So, speaking about leading women, because my wife is my leading woman, my co-star in my family. Talk about Tiffany. I love Tiffany, man. Tiffany's energy and just the way that you guys did those TikTok videos during, I don't know if it was during COVID or.
Yeah. Well, we would just in downtime on set, we would she would knock on my door and she'd go, "Hubby." And I go, "Yeah." She was like, "TikTok." And I'm like, "Sure." Okay, cool. We still do. I just had lunch with her last week and she was like, "Listen, you want to do 2 real quick? We could stock them up for later."
Yeah.
I met Tiffany Daniels in the fall of 2008. I was waiting to find out if the Fresh Beat Band was picked up to series. We had done the pilot.
How many series was it? I mean, how many seasons?
We did 3 seasons of the Fresh Beat Band. And so we had done the pilot in April, May, and then it was September, and I was doing Dreamgirls. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys in the show is one of her best friends. He's like her big brother. Mm. And so I met her. She came to see the show. And then a few years later, she came walking onto season 2 of the Fresh Beat Band as a dancer. And I was like, "Tiffany, mm-hmm. right?" And she was like, "Yeah." And we reconnected. And then a few years later, we started doing Sherman Showcase, great sketch show that's on Hulu now, together. And then That Girl Lele came. So we've had this 15-year, 16-year journey.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to That Girl Lele, I remember our screen test was on Zoom because it was COVID. And for 3 hours, I sat in the room at my friend's house and waited to go in and out of these chemistry reads with these different wives. And she was the very last one. Mm. And when she popped onto the screen, I said, "Tiffany Daniels." And she was like, "Tommy, oh my God." And they'd already hired the kids. There's executives in here. And we just started yelling, screaming, loving on each other through the camera. And David Arnold said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. What's going on? Y'all beefing or y'all good? What's happening right now?" And I said, "No, I've been calling this woman my work wife for over a decade now. Yeah. I love her. And I haven't seen her because of the pandemic." And David said, "I'll be honest with you. There was another combination of parents that I thought had it locked. Mm-hmm. And then y'all were the last 2 to come in together." And I said, "Oh God, we were wrong. Mm. You can't buy this kind of chemistry.
Exactly.
These kids have built." And it's so confusing. Even my phone is confused with our relationship. Mm-hmm. She's so near and dear to me that my phone is like, "Is she also your wife?"
Right.
Like when it suggests wallpapers, it's like, is it this person or this person? Like, who are you dating?
Right.
But she's just she's ride or die in all the best ways. She will tell you she's a triple Scorpio, and that comes with all the things it comes with. And I love every bit of it. And getting to be her pretend spouse for 2.5 years, I saw her almost every day. The hardest part about not doing the show anymore is not seeing everyone every day, but I miss seeing her every day. And like I said, David, the heart and soul creator of the show, that's how he lived his life. He was such when he died, he had a heart attack unexpectedly in the middle of our second season. And I remember sitting at his funeral, and I mean, literally, like TV wife, TV kids holding on to each other. And I started doing math, and I said, I knew him for 18 months. And it felt like a lifetime. He had a gift, which I think was infused in the show. He had an ability to see you fully and gift you with the ability to see yourself. I remember going to him early on in the process and telling him how I had been really doubtful, because there's so much about the world and this business that can be very hard on you as a Black or brown skinned person. And then you add, in my particular case, like being a gay man onto that. And there was a long time in my life when I wasn't certain if that was going to be a part of my narrative, because I didn't know if people could handle that as part of my narrative, that it might hinder or limit the heights I could soar to if people knew this thing.
Right.
And so with the Fresh Beat Band, the first year of the Fresh Beat Band, I didn't tell anyone but my castmates. And then I came back to season 2 and I said, well, that was horrible. I spent 8 months hiding myself from 300 people. I don't want to do that anymore. So with That Girl Lele, I came in the beginning and was just like, also Tiffany's there. She knows my whole life. So we're talking about my partner and everything. And one day I said to David, I said, hey, I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable. Because I realized I'm playing you. And I just want to make sure that you're, and he said, at the end of the day, this career should be about who does it the best. Who's the best for the thing? He said, now, I didn't know. You don't have a sign on your forehead. It's not on your resume. I had no clue till you got here. He said, but it doesn't matter, because you came into that Zoom room and you took this part. There was no one else who could do it after we saw you do it. We said what he's doing. He said, you have taken, this is at the end of season 1. He said, you have taken a role that means a lot to me because it's me. And you have taken it to places I never imagined it could go. And the rest of it doesn't matter. He said, what do your parents think? I said, my parents are cool. They were fine from jump. He said, good. Because all that matters at the end of the day is, can you do the thing you're being asked to do? And to me, that's like, for me, like the embodiment of the soul and spirit of That Girl Lele. Why it was able to connect the way it did as quickly as it did, because that's who was the root of it. He believed in his heart that if we led with love, and that if we made a show in love and out of love, that the audience would watch it and fall in love with it. And they did. And he fought really hard for the parents, because, no shade to the past Disney and Nickelodeon parents, but they're usually the butt of jokes. They're usually there to be comedic relief and kind of dumb and, don't really know what's happening with their kids. And David said, I told the network, I said, these are black ass parents. They gonna know what's going on with their children. They're going to be as important
That's funny.
to the show as the kids. And if I do my job right, the kids might even love the parents as much, if not more, than the kids. And he never told us if he was right. But I pointed out to Tiffany that at the top of season 2, we had the first 2 episodes of season 2, we were in a storyline without the kids. And I turned to her and I said, this is unprecedented. This never happens. The kids aren't around.
Yeah.
It's just us. That means that he was right. When the network filmed 13 episodes and released them and did all the testing and the Q scores, he was correct. He built parents in conjunction with us, built parents that the kids loved so much that season 2, we were having the best time. And I think even the last batch of episodes that we made, I think are still infused with that love, because his wife, Julie, was kind enough in her grief to come into the show as a producer and be there. But that's what I think is like, when you talk about like, what is the show about? There's the storyline of the show, which is wholesome and wonderful and great and provided some really good laughs. And then there's the stuff no one knows about, which is, the way in which David, both as a physical being here and as an energy out there now, like moves through the world. I was in New York in March, and I was in a bar to meet a friend, Harlem Tavern. And this guy was sitting next to me and he kept looking at me weird. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but it's late at night and maybe, maybe we should get the heck out of here. I think he's a little drunk. I thought he was trying to hit on my girlfriend, actually. I was like, Kaylin, I think he wants to, and then he leaned over her and he said, yo, man, are you the dude from Lele? And I said, yeah, I am actually. He said, dude, I was hoping it was you. Man, my kids love that show. We bonded over it so much. My favorite thing about the show is that I'm a sneakerhead and your character is a sneakerhead on the show. And you had that shoe closet, man. That was like a dream. That whole shoe room with the thing and the stuff and the blah. And I told him, I said, you don't know this. You have no reason to, sir. I said, but it is 11:52. In 8 minutes, it will be David Alexander's birthday. He's not with us anymore. But this moment he would have lived for. He fought so hard to make my character the kind of father that hip fathers who are sneakerheads, fathers who know what's what, who dress well, who love their kids, who are deeply involved in their kids' lives, that those fathers would watch this show and see themselves in it. I said, and this feels like a little cosmic wink from him. Just a couple minutes before his birthday, just to let me know he's still, and I walked home from that bar to my friend's apartment where I was staying, and I called his wife and, told her the story, and we had a good little cry together.
That's right, y'all. It's Taboo Nawasha, and I hope you enjoyed geeking out with me and going straight into geek mode. For more information, for more videos, subscribe, like, and comment. Share with your friends. Much love. There it is.
Comics and kicks.